Hi everyone, and welcome to my October 2018 edition of my interview series with women leaders. I am Emily Wishall of Wishall Wellness Live in Alignment, and I'm a certified Rolfer and I'm a mind-body coach. And today, so excited for this conversation that's about to take place. I am getting to interview, this is Dr. Brandy Victory. I've known Dr. Brandy for probably a couple years now, and have experienced her healing work, have experienced her support more in like a coaching arena as far as accountability, and have really gotten to know her from a friend level, and she does incredible work, has an incredible story to share. So I'm excited to get going.
Thank you.
So Dr. Brandy works with women who might consider themselves high achieving, and who really, externally are really successful, but feel internally, don't feel fulfilled. And she helps them find how to turn on their fire, to find their passion.
Yeah.
Right?
You got it.
Okay.
You got it.
So, I know I probably fit into that category of high achieving. I've simmered down in the last few years, but most of my life. So what kind of inspired you to work with that population and to go this direction with your work? And because I know your story is really profound, and I think has really allowed you to amplify and have the offerings that you do, which are so large and encompassing and supportive of women. So do you mind kind of sharing a little bit of your own background and kind of
absolutely. Yeah, thanks. So it kind of all began for me when I was a child, around 14 years old. I began having bipolar manic depression. So I don't know if you understand the dynamics of that, but essentially there's moments of highs, like extreme highs, you can't sleep, all you want to do is clean and do stuff, and then extreme polar opposite lows of that. So if you've gotten yourself really, really high, you can expect you're going to be really, really low when that depression finally comes in. And combine that up with fibromyalgia, so I had pain all over my body. Yeah, so sometimes getting out of bed was really difficult for me, and there were plenty of times where I didn't. I had chronic fatigue syndrome, and I was 12 sizes bigger than I am now.
Wow.
So quite overweight. Some of that I believe is from the medication that I was taking, but also I believe that what I know is that whenever we have any kind of physical dysfunction, there's an underlying emotional component. And that emotional component is stuck in the subconscious, and the subconscious runs our body. It runs our breath and our heartbeat and our hormones and our digestion and all the trillions of things that are going on every single moment in our body is run by the subconscious. Thank goodness.
Like the things that we don't think about, they just happen.
Right. You don't have to think about it. Thank goodness, right? Or we would just die. So the subconscious is for our survival, which is great. And sometimes our digestion or our bone regeneration or our heartbeat or our lungs or our systems just aren't working as well as they should.
Okay.
All right. And so that was what my problem was. So I had some subconscious emotional interference in my nervous system that was causing me to be stuck in this continuing loop of dysfunction. And
it started at 14. Goodness gracious, that is young.
Yeah.
Wow.
And when I found my way out, I realized no one ever told me that I would ever be off medication. Like the doctors would say, you got to keep taking your meds, you're always going to be on it. That was pretty much the sum of it. And finally I met this doctor. These two angels just dropped into my life after what I thought was my last conversation with God. And one of them began working with me with functional medicine, and I didn't even know what that was at the time. But essentially, it was basically utilizing how my body metabolizes things and getting me off the medication and giving me the appropriate amino acids and nutrients to facilitate my healing from the inside.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then the other doctor I met was Dr. Robert Soanes. They were both in Houston, Texas, and he practices non-force chiropractic, which is essentially what I believe really solidified my healing process, because it's what helped remove the subconscious interference and update my nervous system for present time function.
And to help, did it help you get out of pain? Because you said you had found like pain all over your body.
Yeah, so when now I work with women who have all different kinds of things, specifically fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, and what I've found is that 100% of the time, like 100% of the time, there's an emotional component that's keeping them stuck in that loop. So the pain isn't necessarily a physical problem.
Yeah.
It's an emotional problem. My pain would show up migrating, so it would move all over the body. Like it's my knee, or it's my hip, or it's my back, or it's my shoulder. Like it just migrate, which is a classic sign of autoimmunity. And when we look at autoimmunity from the perspective of consciousness, there is a deep-rooted level of self-hatred or self-flatulence. Is that how you say it? Flatulence is gas. I think I just said a weird word. Anyway,
that probably is a piece of it too. I mean, self-gas would not be kind. It doesn't sound good.
Right? Beating yourself up a lot and not allowing yourself to be okay where you're at. Like this is just the commonality of the level of consciousness of people, especially women. I work with most women, and this is kind of what has happened as a result of our culture.
Yeah. So you mentioned the subconscious patternings and the subconscious blocks, and I'm in agreement with that. But and say somebody's watching this and they're like, oh yeah, I've heard that before, but like, how the hell do you find what the blocks are, or how can you work if it's a subconscious level? Most often we're not aware of it.
Yeah, right. It's subconscious.
Exactly. So it's our blind spots. So is it a matter of seeking support and getting reflection from somebody who's trained? Are there other ways of working with that? I guess I'm curious kind of how you work with that, and your, if you want to share anything from your own personal process of working through subconscious beliefs, or how you work with clients now, just like some tangible, real examples, to help make sense of it.
Sure. So how do you know what your subconscious blocks are? That's, there's definitely more than one way.
High achiever. I'm like, I just want to know. Just tell me. Just check it off.
Right? There's definitely more than one way. I mean, there's an infinite amount of ways to get to the root cause, right? Yeah. I believe that if any woman is asking to find her way, the right path will just open up. And then it's our job to take action and walk down that path. Now, walking down that path isn't always so easy, so we resist. We resist doing the inner work that it takes to find our way through the minutia, because it's not comfortable. I mean, I've left my home, I've left my family, I've left my husband. I've done a lot of things, but you know what? I'm so grateful, and it was not an easy road. But those changes had to happen because the situation that I was in was a very codependent situation. So I was codependent with my mother, I was codependent with my ex-husband, and for me to liberate myself from that, I had to make those changes. Yeah. Like, that's just the way it is. And
you were obviously at just some degree of healing already when you made those changes. So you had some threshold of like support and container, so you could, because those are big decisions, those are hard changes to make, so you imagine, it's not like everything just happened.
No,
everything is a process.
It's a process, right? Yeah. I mean, I had probably been doing the neuroemotional work with Dr. Soanes and
that's the non-force
probably
chiropractor?
2 years. Yeah. Okay. I was doing literally every single week working with him for 2 years straight, and it was that, I believe, saved my life.
That's incredible. And thank you for sharing that too, about how often it can be really big change. Like, I think, I probably shared this in other interviews, I'm sure, and I talk a lot about it with clients, because I'm in the growth, transformation, change world. We both are, and it's amazing, it's great, but I think what's often not talked about is that process. And it is really uncomfortable, and there is dark shadows, and there's darkness, and there's things within us that we probably don't want to look at and don't want to talk about or share. So I really appreciate you being honest and sharing, like, you kind of left your life as you knew it to be able to step into a new paradigm for you that could hold the, I don't know what you would call it, container perspective or shift that you needed for your own healing. Yeah.
Yeah. So the path opened. I got somehow I had two job offers in Northern California, and it's practically the same exact place, by two different doctors on exactly the same day.
That's wild.
Yeah. And of course, in that moment, I didn't know that this was the answer to my prayers. You know, I had no idea. I was like, oh my gosh, I just got two job offers in Northern California. That's weird. But I do know that Spirit moves me in very powerful ways. So I listened to that and I was like, okay, that's something I need to listen to. You don't just get one, you get two. Hello, right?
Yeah.
So I, of course, followed that trail. And then woke up and now I'm here. Like, oh, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of, if you, explain, like, so what is it, how do you take all of what you've done, you know, in your work, and how do you support women now? Like, what is it that you do?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I do, essentially, I have a 4-month program called Turn Your Soul On Mastermind, or Masterclass, excuse me. And that 4-month program takes the women through processes together. We do it virtually, so I'm working with people all over the country.
So it's a group facilitation.
It's a group facilitation. You do get one-on-one coaching as well during that. And then midway through, like around the 8th week, we have a retreat together, so that we all do this in our retreat style home. You've been there. So it's like having everyone come together just brings more intimacy and connection with the group.
And who would be, like, somebody, like, why would a woman seek out the group?
So the group allows you to, so we're all reflections of each other.
So, I mean, but who is it for?
Oh, this is for any woman who feels like she's stuck and she's not feeling completely fulfilled in her life.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So, you know, for me, So
it's like a really supportive container for somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's also a place to where you can feel safe to move through those spaces that I was speaking of earlier.
Yes, because we need that support.
Have to have
sisterhood, especially, I mean, men totally need the support too, but I think for us as females, we are more tribe oriented. We need our sisterhood, and to be doing big leaps like that, to be able to have a place you can show up and be vulnerable, and like just fall, but be caught is
That's right.
Huge.
Yeah, and to have the net of the container of the group is even bigger than just me doing it on my own. I have plenty of patients that I work with one-on-one, and I just feel like women move more when they're in a container of other women.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I'd love to connect. So since this is for women who feel stuck or are high achieving, I think that there's a lot of us out there, especially, you know, a lot of the, you know, political, not only just political, but like conversations that are happening, right, with the Me Too movement, and a lot of women becoming more vocal and stepping up and feeling like we can share our stories, which is incredible. But I still think there's a piece of still feeling stuck or feeling that higher achieving or that need to, like, if I don't complete everything on my to-do list plus 10 more things, then I'm not successful, or I should feel bad about myself, or I don't deserve to just lay and watch a movie. Even if you do end up laying and watching a movie, you feel guilty. This weird mental concept that I think that so many of us have been brought up, probably unintentionally by our, you know, parents, but just from a societal perspective of if we're not busy, we're not worthy.
Yeah.
Like the worth is built upon our productivity.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many conversations we can have about that.
No kidding. Yeah, you know, I actually was just writing an email to my people about the same exact thing today, because there's so much angst and resistance, and I don't know if you follow, but Venus just went retrograde, and Venus is the planet of love and community and tribe, and of course we're going to have an upheaval in the feminine, right? Because she's like doing in her inner work right now. So she's asking us to do our inner work. But
the planet Venus is what we're
talking about. Planet Venus, yeah. She's asking us to do our inner work right now. And what's happened is the wounding of the feminine has come to the surface, and generally we're becoming reactive to that. And so there's all this reactivity around it. And what I'd really like to do is invite women to, what if we decided not to and chose not to be in the reactivity or the resistance? Like, growth doesn't happen with resistance, right? It happens from within. So what we've got to learn to do is like go inside to that deeper place and really start to uncover and root up the old paradigms that we used to live in, and the wounds, and live in a place of forgiveness and gratitude. Because I tell you what, my life wasn't easy. I mean, I just gave you a very short clip of where I came from. And I wouldn't change it. I absolutely wouldn't change it. Like, I'm so incredibly grateful for where I've come from. I'm so incredibly grateful that I've had all those experiences. I would never wish it on anyone. That's why I do what I do, because I've carved the path, and I can make this transition for women so much easier so they don't have to struggle in the way that I did. However, that struggle is what got me here today. And I'm so, so grateful. So we've got to come into that place of just
feeling the gratitude. I mean, obviously there's first you got to do the healing and the forgiveness, and not to want to push on a side or say that that's easy. No, for every person it takes their own time. But I know for myself personally, I just turned 30 this summer, and so that made me, have a lot of reflection. And what I realized is all of my biggest insecurities or struggles or whatever, and I've been pretty fortunate in my life, but we all have our stuff. I am so incredibly grateful for, because that's what has led me to, I feel like, seeking more of my truth. Without those insecurities, I would have just been fiddling around in some sort of complacent manner.
And that's why you're so great at what you do, because
I'm just sharing that from
well, I'm just saying, because you're aligned to your inner truth and you're living it. Like, you don't let anything get in the way of that. And that's what we have to do if we're going to find that spark within ourselves and live a life of passion and empowerment and feel like we have something.
And some days don't feel that way.
Some days don't feel that way. It is true.
I watched a movie in bed last night, and it was great.
Good for you.
And then, I didn't feel sad, but so it's just, and it's just allowing that. And
but you weren't laying there feeling guilty.
Squeeze that. There we go. Perfect.
You weren't laying there feeling guilty about it, right? No, because you're like, no, I'm just honoring myself right now. And that's not an easy, that's not always easy for women to get to.
And I don't know if you guys just heard that crazy motorcycle just went by outside. Love that. That's like feeling that's charging us on, Venus. So what would, if you would have like a takeaway or a suggestion or a tangible way for us as women to, especially for women who really identify with the feminine, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like, we need the masculine just as much feminine, right? We need that balance. But for me personally, I feel better when I do life more from a feminine way. And it's so easy for me to either put on a more neutral armor to feel safe, so I don't feel like too sexy, or if I'm showing a little bit of skin to like, ooh, let's put it, or to start doing business in a really masculine way. And that is like, for me, right? It feels not good. I feel rigid. I feel tired. But it's easy to slip in and out of that, right? I think but so what would be some for a woman who's watching this and feels like she really identifies with the feminine and is feeling a little stuck or a little lost, or just like desiring to connect with herself more? What is something that she could, like a daily practice she could start kind of integrating in?
My first go-to is creativity. So anything that's creative in nature. So maybe it's dancing for some women, like some people, maybe it's yoga, or creativity through art, like drawing or painting, or something of that nature, where you're feeling like you're bringing something forth from a creative nature. Like, it's our purpose to create. Like, we have womb space.
We have a womb space,
right?
Even if you don't physically have the womb, you still have that energetic space.
You still have that space, right? You're still a woman, and that is what we came here to do. And I personally don't have any children, so for me, like, I have to make sure that I'm constantly like opening those areas and those channels of my creativity, so that I can feel like I'm on purpose in life.
Right. We are creative beings. Well, and so here's an example. I'll use myself, and you can coach me through this. I am personally desiring to learn guitar. That's my creative avenue, right? And just for fun, because I realized I needed something creative in my life that was unrelated to business. It wasn't, so my dad bought me a guitar for my 16th birthday, finally took a couple lessons. My goal has been to do it 10 to 15 minutes a day.
Okay.
What has happened is that I haven't touched my guitar in 3 weeks.
Okay.
Right? And I've only touched it a few times. It's it's always the last thing.
It's the last thing, yep.
And part of it I know is I need to just get that habit going.
Sure.
But it's the last thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I am noticing for myself, and I'm sharing this because I think it can be common, because we tend to over prioritize the more productive tasks per se.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any suggestions on how I can help
absolutely.
re-honor that priority and really see it as a priority as opposed to whatever else I'm doing?
Yeah, so why do you want to learn?
I think it's fun. It feels good, right? It feels good to play and to hear music, get to create music.
Yeah, and is it okay to feel good?
I love to feel good.
Okay,
So
then.
yeah.
All right, it's important, right? This is like
I'm always telling people,
feeling
feel good in
is-
your body.
Right, of course,
Yeah.
right. So that's a priority for you. It sounds to me like what your issue is that at the end of the day you're tired and you're like kind of not.
Yeah, I think I need
Yeah.
to do it as a part of my morning practice. Is what I'm realizing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Go. I'm learning to play banjo myself.
Fun. Okay.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
We're gonna create a girls'
yeah,
duo. We'll be
let's
back
do
a
it.
year from now, October.
Yes, we should do it. That'd be so much fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah, and I know for myself, if I pick my banjo up in the morning, I'm actually even more apt to play it at night.
I like that. I like that. So maybe if you have because it is, I think, say somebody's going to paint, like it's just, for whatever reason, I think at least in my head, concept,
Yep.
it's like, oh, end of the day, or,
Yep.
unwinding, but you are
Yep.
tired, or it's just hard.
Yep.
So bring that into their morning practice.
Bring it into your morning
I love
practice.
that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm painting a mural on my wall right now, and the paint and the everything has been sitting there waiting for me for a few weeks, right? And I realized, oh, it's because I'm waiting till the end of the day. Same exact thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started when I can leave later in the day. I go in there and I just paint one little bird.
I
or
like that.
touch
So
something
just
up.
prioritizing our creativity by putting it first thing in the day.
Yeah.
Before the emails, the calls, before social media, all of that.
That's another conversation to have.
Yeah, but okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Set time aside for that stuff too, but make sure you set time aside for it and encapsulate it. I actually, until I got it under control, I would set a timer. I've got 30 minutes to answer my emails, and that's it.
Yeah,
I got
I've
30
started
minutes
tracking
on
my
Facebook.
time, so I'm just playing with that.
Good. Yeah, it's helpful. Otherwise,
Okay,
you get
so I
lost
love
in
this
it.
takeaway. So just a simple way to start with is prioritizing creativity and allowing it to feel good. So not like a should, not like a self-care should, because that's a whole nother thing, but
Yeah.
finding a way that feels really good for you to be creative. What was something you did as a child that you love? Maybe it's cutting out little paper icicles.
Yeah.
Maybe it's right now it's fall, like going outside and collecting leaves and arranging them around the table,
Yeah.
or learning an instrument, or whatever it could be, but putting it in the morning.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think everyone pretty much has like this underlying desire to do something.
We do. We just tend to not.
We just don't go for it, and we have
Yeah.
to go for
think we
it
don't have
because
the
going
time.
for it gets us out of that stuckness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I love this. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. This is wonderful.
So how can we stay in touch with you and learn more about your work?
Yeah, you can just find me on the web.
And you have a new little. Well, yeah, find you on the web. Where can we find you on the web?
How about at drbrandyvictory.com?
Dr. Brandy Victory. And I believe you have a podcast
I do.
that has just started.
I do. Yeah.
So what is your podcast
excited.
called?
It's called Turn Your Soul on Radio. So I'm really excited
like
about that. That's just kind of launching in this moment.
Okay.
And
Turn Your Soul on Radio.
Turn Your Soul on Radio. So if you're into podcasting, I would.
So that'd be a great resource for people to learn more about your work.
Yeah.
Dr. Brandy is full, honestly, like full of information from everything very scientific to, more woo-woo. We heard her talking about Venus. But she's got the very scientific background to match. So it's a fun little,
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Compilation.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So Turning Your Soul on Radio.
Turn Your Soul on Radio.
So we'll have a link to the
Yeah.
first episode, so you can go ahead and automatically listen and sign up on iTunes and all of that.
That would be great.
And
Yep. I also have a guide on my website, so if you just want to go download a free guide to turn yourself on,
that's what the guide is called.
Yeah.
turn
Well,
yourself on.
That's
guys.
what we need to do, right? We need to turn ourselves on.
Okay.
And nobody else is going to do it for us, right? It's nobody's fault if you're not.
I'm curious what's in that
Yeah.
guide.
Let's do it.
I'm going to go download it.
All right.
Okay, so I'll have the links at the bottom. So drbrandyvictory.com.
Yeah.
And then you can get the free guide if you want. Turn yourself on. I know I'm downloading it. And then I'm really excited for her podcast that's launching Turn Your Soul on radio. Beautiful.
There you go. Awesome.
Thank you so much for being here and
thanks a
sharing.
lot.
And your story really is really inspiring. It's incredible. And to get to know Brandy now, is somebody who's really living a life of integrity and really what her messaging is true to her, how you live your life.
Thank you.
So a
Thank
lot of
you.
respect for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to my interview series. October 2018. Who knows October 2019, but maybe we'll be back with banjo and guitar. I don't know. Okay. Take care, everyone.
Bye.